Hey everybody, this is Chris from T3 Handicapping, and I'm here to go over the card for Thursday, September 30th from Indiana Grand. If you want to follow my picks, you can do so at Handicapping T3 on Twitter. You can also read my articles on bettingnews.com. This weekend, I'll be looking at some of the opening weekend cards from Santa Anita. So if you're interested in playing Santa Anita over the weekend, which I'm sure many horse players are, you can get some of my analysis. And, I give picks and analysis of each of the races on those particular cards. Most of it is done using the methodology that I use here. So even without putting out separate videos for Santa Anita, you'll know you're getting a lot of the same things that we talked about in these videos. Again, if you're following my Indiana Grand picks for tomorrow, you can follow me on Twitter at handicappingT3. And when I post that up there, you'll be able to gain access to those picks, which will be what I have here, but it will be after scratches. So we are going to go ahead and dive into the card for Thursday. Before we do, we'll just quickly go over Wednesday. Wednesday was a difficult day. It was one that I predicted, and so I shrunk my bankroll down. I'm glad I did. I hit the opening daily double, but it was on kind of a saver ticket, so I basically broke even on the wagers. With that, just I came out slightly ahead in that respect, and then it was just a lot of kind of, I had 7 of the 9 winners, but a lot of them were C grade horses, and again, it's just hard when you have that many maiden races and that many low level horses running. You're more likely to have some variability, and that's what you saw today. So not a great day, but also one that I was kind of prepared for, and so I protected bankroll. And I think that's a really important lesson to be learned, is the value of bankroll preservation. So today we're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to throw things back to using the actual sheet here that I used to put together the picks. Now, I'm doing this kind of out of necessity. I spent a good amount of time marking up the past performances, and then my browser had to reset, and so I lost it all. And so rather than go back through and take the time to remark everything, I'm just going to kind of use the grids or the boards, as I've shown you in the past. Kind of use those to guide our work today. So we're going to look here, race number 1. You can see we're going at Indiana Grand 5.5. We're on dirt. It's a class level 19, so that's kind of right in the sweet spot, but relatively high for it. Pace projection of 14, so it looks slow on paper. And then you can see my numbers here for everything. Again, a reminder, if you haven't watched the videos before, that the green headings are the ones that are best to have a lower number as opposed to a higher number. So I'm just going to make sure here that we have. I just want to make sure that we have the graph frozen here so that we can always see what we're dealing with. So like I said, class 19 looks like it's going to be relatively slow to the front. And we're just going to kind of go through the letter grades over here. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so that it becomes easier to just kind of see where we're at. So we'll keep that one. I can get rid of this column. Actually, I think we'll leave it open. So let's just run through these runners. Que Sera Sera was a scratch today. I'm looking at DG here, so 98, A plus on the 1. My top choice is Triple Scout, who comes in at 1.8, so essentially 9 to 5 on the morning line, not quite 2 to 1 there. A plus. Total score is a 90, so definitely one that I normally would think about using. The only thing that's concerning is I do have this number 1 horse who is at an 88, so that's pretty close. I like to see horses that have separation from the second place. That tends to establish for me that there's some dominance there. I don't see it here. This horse, the curve grade was a 63, not going to use. A 99 for the curve grade. So again, you can see I've now got 3 horses all in that top tier. I'm going to be using 1, 2, and 4 pretty heavily. And then here 73 a C grade and 70 a C minus on the 6 Abby's Destiny. I'm going to pretty much stick to 1, 2, and 4, use them fairly equally. Moving down here now to race number 2. This is going to be going 8.5 on the turf. So we've got a turf route here. The pace is projected to be a little bit slow, and these horses are projected to be pretty good horses. So this is a race where I have a pretty clear opinion of who I want to use, and that is that I'm going to be all in on the number 7 Breeze Rider. Breeze Rider is the favorite at roughly 6 to 5 on the morning line. This is a horse that's going to be relatively forwardly placed, so going to sit that good stalking trip. And when you look at the curve score, you've got 100. Now that 100 is the next closest is the 6 horse Fireside Kitten at an 86. So that's a 14-point differential on a 100-point scale. That's significant. When you look at the actual score, the number 7 horse rates out as a 100. That's going to be one of the highest scores out of any of the horses on today's list. So that's where I'm going to go. You can see where my backups are. I do have the 6, the 7, and the 6, the 5, and the 4, all as B's or C options. But overall, I'm not going to use any of them. This is going to be a day where I'm going to be very heavily through the number 7. And in fact, on Thursdays at Indiana Grand, I do tend to play a lot smaller because I also play Churchill and Gulfstream on those days. And I do monitor Belmont for any potential opportunities. So with that being said, I try and keep my Indiana Grand bankroll a little bit smaller because I'm going to be attacking some bigger pools at some of the bigger tracks. I'm going to be really heavily through Breeze Rider. Race number 3. This is a race for lightly raced horses. You can see it's a 26. I believe this is a maiden claimer, if I remember off the top of my head. The pace is projected to be slow, which I don't always think is true. I think these maiden claimers have a tendency to get cooking just because everybody knows they kind of got to get to the lead and try and make the best of it. So as I'm looking through here, I mean, I have the 5 horse Stand and Serve at 5 to 2. That is the favorite. I do have them as the top rated horse, but I also want to be using some French Kid. I would also want to probably have a little bit of Sky Liberty and maybe even just Dig It as an 81 B minus. So I've got a few options in there, no real strong opinions, but I'm going to go really heavily through the 7 in the previous race. I might try and double out here. The other problem is I'm looking at 2 of the top choices. And really the only one that I have that's not one of the top choices is just Dig It. So I don't know. I may just pass on the multi race. I may just try and put everything into the 7 in race 2 and hope for the best. Coming in here to race number 4, this is a class of 9, so really good runners for Indiana Grand. You've got a pace projection that's moderate, 17. So I would imagine that this is going to probably play pretty fair. I don't think we'll have just a cooked up pace on the front. With that being said, I'm going to come over here and take a look. You can see that we're very tight at the top. So I've got the 6 as my top selection with an A+. That is Puppy Monkey Baby, which is just a great name from a Super Bowl commercial of old. Then you've got Girl Named Patsy, who is my 3rd choice at only a 96 curved. You've got a 99 curved on Poseidon's Passion and a 92 on Bold Figure. So as we're going through and just looking at these from a straight power rating perspective, based on my algorithms, this is a really wide open race. And so what I'm probably going to end up doing here is as I look, I do have the 6 as my top rated, but I also have the 6 as being a late running horse into a moderate pace. I think this might be one where I just toss that horse and I try and pick up value by saying some people are going to over rely on the favorite in every race. I'll just toss the 6, even though he's my top selection. It's not good enough to justify less than 2 to 1 on that horse, so I will move on from him. Coming into race number 5, we have a number of players that are contenders. You can just see just by looking simply at this chart, my 4, Don't Mind Me, is 100 with an 81 total score. So you think back to the 2nd race where we had 100 for a total score. This horse is 19 points inferior if we were to just stack them side by side. That's significant. So as we look, this is a little bit weaker field, and you can see we have a lot of horses in with a shot. This is one where you're going to want to spread around, particularly with the class level being 21. This is a race where honestly, I'm not a big proponent of just hitting the all button, but this might be one where you want to do it, especially with this pace projection setting up to be a 23. That looks insane. If you were going to play this in any particular way, I think the biggest thing that I would say is I do not care for gift wrapped as the favorite. Now I do know that that is the latest running horse of this group. And so could factor if the pace is truly a 23. Um, but at the same time, I just don't know that we can necessarily trust a horse at this high of a class to come running late. So I might look for some of these EP runners, maybe the 1, 2, or maybe even like Spanish Peaks, who yes does run towards the front, but isn't just an all-out need the lead. Coming into race number 6, we have 8 furlongs on turf. Okay, we have got a class of 15, so slightly better than average. I find that the average class kind of ends up landing in about that 17 range. But again, we have a pace projection of a really slow race. Not surprising. We're running on turf. In this race, I'm pretty thin. I really like the 8 and 9. So the 8 is Cajun Kid. I have him rated out as 100, and 88 is a very solid number at Indiana Grand. I've got 85 on Gravitron, and that puts him in the A category as well. I've got B plus grades on the 1. I've got a B minus on the 2, and a C plus on the 5. Sign Dora. So even though I've got 5 horses listed as eligible, I'm honestly probably going to play pretty heavily through the 7 or through the 8 and the 9, and just try and go forward from there. Hoping that horses rating out as an 88 or an 85, that has traditionally been successful for me. So looking at total scores somewhere in the 80s, with kind of 80 as being a low cutoff, has seemed to be sort of the successful break point. So I like those two. I think that's where I'm going to go. If I were looking to add one more, it might be Fair Game, only because you can see a 79. You could easily round that up and get yourself to 80. Moving into race number 7 of 9, this will start the late pick 3. This one, I have another horse that I feel is a very strong favorite in the 6. I'm sorry, a very strong win candidate in the 6. That's Freer. Freer is going to be 4-1 and is an early speed type, which I don't necessarily love on the turf route, but 7.5 furlongs, you get those 2 turns, so that's why I call it a turf route, even though it's technically less than a mile. Pace projection is going to be moderate. I think this horse has a chance. Now, there's a lot of horses that will be towards the front, so maybe that's misguided on my part. But the horse rates out as an 89 total score. I think that's actually like the second or third highest total power rating of anyone on the card. And this is supposed to be in a race where they're 17 in terms of class. So that tells me that this horse is a really strong candidate and one I definitely want to use. After that, it's a long way down. I mean, I've got Complicate, the favorite, at a C minus grade, scoring out a 72. So that's a huge drop. This is another one where I'm going to definitely be betting very heavily. In fact, tomorrow my plan is to just kind of parlay, do a 2 horse parlay, kind of my own self-created daily double. I'm going to be playing the number 7 horse in race number 2, and then I'm going to be playing the number 6 horse in race number 7. And then outside of that, I'm going to try not to actually play anything else at Indiana Grand so that I can focus bankroll on other things. I do feel really good about these opinions, but I'm trying to really pick my spots. And make it a successful day, especially after a day like Wednesday where I didn't feel I was seeing the ball quite as well. I had a lot of races where I didn't really feel successful considering where I like to be. I like to have about 80% of my choices in the top 4 win races. I was way off of that today, and even if there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for that, I think it's a good idea for me to kind of get back to the basics. So coming into race 9, this is the late daily double here, heading into race 9, which will be our final card, our final race of the day. You can see here, I've got a fairly balanced field. For a field of 7, I've got 4 in with a shot. So I've eliminated half the field. This horse is 100 and has a total score of 92. So Malpai is another one that I would definitely think about using. The reason that I'm not as high on Malpai, even though the horse is even money on the morning line, is I'm a little concerned about this 89 that's put up by Game Boy Benny. So I may end up trying to use this in sort of a double situation. If I know I'm going to get separation here with Freer, maybe I can come into Malpai to complement my parlay as well, because I think 6 is going to give me my price and my separator. And then if I can come in and I can get a favorite, even if it's a heavy favorite, I do think this horse is the best. I'm just not sure if I want to really put a lot of money into it if I don't have it rated out that high. But one I would definitely consider playing. I just don't necessarily know there's going to be value in tying it in and making it a 3-horse parlay. Our final thoroughbred race of the day is the 9th race. It's going 6 furlongs on dirt, class of 15, pace projected to be 18, so very moderate, very reasonable. Best horse should have an opportunity to win. But I actually think that there's a gap in the morning line here. I really, really, really like this 3-year-old. Coming to the end of a 3-year-old year, horses can take big steps up. You've got an 82 for a speed figure in a relevant race. That's just jumping off the page to me as something that could definitely make this horse a major player. The horse's total score is low, which I don't love. It's only an 81. Um, but I definitely think this horse is interesting at 12 to 1. The other horse I like is Prepare for Glory. Now, Prepare for Glory is going to stalk and pounce. This horse is at 4 to 1. And I like this horse because this horse is the class of the field. I think if it's just a race on sheer class, Prepare for Glory should have it done. So if I were going to play something here, and actually the late pick 3 does look a little bit enticing just because there's not a lot of coverage that I really need. I've got Freer, who I feel really good about. I could even use Malpai and one other horse, or I could just use Malpais and then come right in here and use my 2A selections, Forensic File and Prepare for Glory. If either one of those horses wins, I mean, I'm beating Elmas Loco at 9 to 2. I'm beating Genstone at 4 to 1. I'm beating Trucking On at 3 to 1. I'm beating Long Live Justice at 5 to 2. And in one of the cases here, I'm even beating Wyman at 10 to 1. So it's a situation where I feel like I might be able to get some juice out of that. If things are going well with my picks, I'll probably play that. Just kind of knowing that I'm feeling it and go forward. If things are a little bit off, and I've noticed early in the card my direction finder's off a little bit, I'm just not connecting, then I probably won't play it. Then I'll probably stick to maybe a place parlay or even a win parlay to try and bring things home. But that's kind of how I'm looking at Thursday's card from Indiana Grand. And if you want this document with all of these numbers and all of this data, you can actually unhide the part that has all their rankings as well. That is available for purchase. So if you want to purchase it for Indiana Grand post scratch, you can reach out to me at t3handicapping@gmail.com, and I will send you my Venmo or PayPal information so that you can go ahead and order that, and then I will send you this. It will also come with the T3 boards, so it will come with these guys that can be really good for making those exactas and tries. To help you with those vertical wagers. So that'll be $2 if you want to get that. Reach out to me, t3handicapping@gmail.com. I will also have this available for Gulfstream Park tomorrow, which starts their Flamingo meet and the introduction of the Tapeta surface. And I have it for Churchill Downs as well. So all of those are available. If you want any of them, just let me know which track you want. And we'll get you set up. $2 for each track. And then, as always, I do offer, if you want me to make you a custom report for a track of your choosing that I don't already have done, you can go ahead and reach out to me with which track you'd want. And then if it's feasible, we'll get it done, and I'll give you the payment information for that as well. So good luck to everyone as you play Indiana Grand, Belmont, Churchill, Gulfstream, wherever you happen to be playing on Thursday. Best of luck to you. As always, follow me on Twitter at handicappingT3. Good luck.